But we start off with the first two rounds of the Spanish Touring Car Championship, both being held at Jerez, and for the first time this year, the Spanish Touring Car races always two races at each meeting. On pole position, Eric van der Poel in the Nissan, alongside him Jordi Janné in the Opel Vectra, or Vauxhall Cavalier as we know them in the British Touring Car Championship, and in fact both these cars built by Ray Mallock Racing, the same team that builds the Vauxhall Cavaliers for John Cleland and James Thompson in the UK. Well, the second of the Opels is being driven by ex-Formula 1 driver Alex Caffey. Then we see Giorgio Francia in the Alfa 155, a refugee from the German Touring Car Championship, this time racing in Spain. Behind them, Luis Perez Sala, the 1993 Spanish Touring Car Champion, and then Antonio Albacete in the BMW. Start of the race then, this first round of the Spanish Touring Cars, and it's Eric van der Poel from pole position, suitably enough, but cutting down the inside is Jordi Janné. Janné, bit of contact between the two of them, but he squeezes through. So Jordi Janné, the man who raced in the British Formula 3 Championship a few years ago, has been doing Formula 3000, trying to get the lead, but now Eric van der Poel cuts back in this, and oh, and somebody's hit Francia. Giorgio Francia just spinning in the background in the Alfa 155, and his race, well, effectively over at the second corner of the Jerez circuit. Back up front, Eric van der Poel from Jordi Janné, and Antonio Albacete has had a tremendous start. He's up into third place already, and the three leaders beginning to pull away from the opposition, with Luis Perez Sala next up, Louis Villamil not far away, and then Alex Caffey in the second of the Opels. Caffey not making a great start from the second row of the grid, but watch this, Antonio Albacete is going for second place in the BMW, trying to get round the outside of Jordi Janné. Oh, there's a bit of contact and he squeezes past. Janné runs wide and the BMW is up into second place. Just take another look at that. There was just a little contact there, nothing too untoward, and Albacete up into second position. Well, Albacete was driving the Opel himself in the 1994 championship, has switched to BMW, and now beginning to challenge Eric van der Poel. Oh, and he looks as though he's going to go through. Yes, indeed, Albacete takes the lead from van der Poel. Van der Poel, who raced in the British Touring Car Championship for Nissan, now in the Spanish Series, but he cannot hold off the rear-wheel drive BMW. BMW going through and taking the lead of the race. Well, the battle for second place still going on, and Jordi Janné now looking for a way past van der Poel, but you can see Antonio Albacete getting away. BMW took the last win of the 1994 season here at Jerez, and it's certainly looking good once again for them. Alex Caffey versus Luis Villamil a little further back, and that's another little private battle that's going on between those two as we turn our attention to second place again, and Janné tries to slot it down the inside. He really wasn't quite there, and yet he had a go at getting past. Oh, and it's all getting a bit fraught. Janné, really unnecessary amount of contact there as he trying to find a way past Eric van der Poel. Fair bit of damage now to that Opel Vectra in third position as a result of all those little nerfs and whatever. Oh, and he has squeezed through this time. That was better and cleaner stuff from Jordi Janné, squeezing past Eric van der Poel, so he does go into second position. But look at the lead that Antonio Albacete has managed to establish. Huge lead now over the Opel of Jordi Janné, and Eric van der Poel back into third position. Checkered flag is ready, and Antonio Albacete wins the first race in the Spanish Touring Car Series by quite a margin over second place man Jordi Janné and Eric van der Poel third, Luis Villamil fourth, Alex Caffey fifth, and Adrian Campos down in sixth position in that first race, which means he starts the second race from sixth on the grid. And Caffey, Campos, last year's champion for Alfa Romeo in the Spanish Championship. Off they go at the second race, and a great start from Eric van der Poel, and in fact a very poor start from Albacete, so it looks as though van der Poel's going to head them into the first corner. That really was a dramatic start from the Belgian in the Nissan, and he goes through. Carlos Palau, long way down in the Ford Mondeos, and the Mondeos struggling here at Jerez, certainly not very well on the pace. Other car being driven by Jesus Padilla, the ex-sports car driver, but both Fords not really there. So Eric van der Poel once again leading Antonio Albacete, but we saw the advantage that the BMW had in the first race. The question is, can van der Poel keep the BMW behind him for any longer? Same rules in the Spanish Touring Car Championship with regard to the wings that are allowed to be used, as we see the battle going on further back with both of the Opels. That was Alex Caffey moving up well as Antonio Albacete. Oh, and there's contact between the two leaders. Van der Poel is pushed off. Van der Poel goes off into the gravel. Well, Albacete. Let's take a look. Van der Poel came across, but Albacete also seemed to turn slightly into the back of Van der Poel's car. So the end result was there was contact between them. Albacete got away with it, but Van der Poel didn't. And in fact, he's had to retire. So no luck for Van der Poel this weekend. Well, a little bit of damage to the right front of Albacete's car, but nevertheless still going. And he's being chased by Louis Villamil in the Alfa. It's going a little bit better now. Then we can see Adrian Campos and Alex Caffey. There is last year's champion Adrian Campos in the Alfa, and he's got the pressure on him now from Alex Caffey in the Opel Vectra. Oh, and Giorgio Francia is trying to join in the battle as well, trying to go around the outside. Doesn't look as though he's actually going to make it there. Meanwhile, Antonio Albacete, remember, is leading. Oh, and there's a bit of contact there. And once again, well, that was pretty unnecessary. And Caffey comes back out and straight into the side of Francia. Well, it's all getting fairly silly here, and all of the drivers partly to blame, has to be said, between both of them, Francia and Caffey, but really getting out of order. Watch Caffey, he just basically tried to drive straight into Francia, and no excuse for that really, but he was obviously fired up from the fact that Francia had been hitting him around the last couple of corners. So not a great advert for clean touring car racing here in Spain. Nevertheless, it looks as though Antonio Albacete is coming through to take his second checkered flag, second win of the weekend for Albacete, just ahead of Luis Villamil. Adrian Campos finishing third and Francia fourth. So with 3 Alfas in the top 4, a good result for them in the second race, but BMW victorious in both of the events.
We're back with motors. This is Mark Cole looking at round 2 of the Spanish Touring Car Championship, a race held at Jarama, the Madrid circuit, where just 2 weeks previously the Karcher Global GT Endurance Series had been held, McLaren winning there. But touring car news hot off the presses today. The FIA has now confirmed the International Touring Car Series for the Class 1 German touring cars, and 7 races confirmed: Mugello, Helsinki, Donington Park, Estoril, Nürburgring, Manicur and Barcelona. So the clash of dates at Hockenheim with the Class 2 FIA World Cup has now been averted, and it's Nürburgring in August that replaces that October Hockenheim date, so watch that space. Let's get back to Jarama. 25,000 spectators here for round 2 of the CET, the Campeonato España Turismo. And as in Jerez for round 1, Belgium's Eric Van der Poel in the Nissan Primera GT takes pole position. Well, after a second place and retirement in the 2 Jerez races, Van der Poel is looking for better in Jarama.
I would like to say, first of all, it's not really my specialty, but it's all the team specialty, because I'm not doing only me the super pole. I'm in a car, we have to work on the car during the week, and all together in one lap we have to give everything to have the perfect condition, and it works well until now, and I hope it will be more.
2 races in the first race, it's Van der Poel on pole position, immediately takes the lead ahead of Jordi Genet, Giorgio Francia, Antonio Albacete, Luis Perez Sala, Adrian Campos, Luis Villamil and Ignacio Goboiru. Pour down into the first corner here at the Madrid circuit. And look at Eric Van der Poel just pulling away already now from Jordi Genet. Genet there in the Opel Vectra, and right behind them Giorgio Francia, the factory-supported Alfa Romeo, then BMW, Antonio Albacete having made a change from Opel last year, then Perez Sala in the second of the factory Repsol Nissans, and right behind them tucking in their Campos, Villamil and Goibaru, all in the Alfa Romeos. Oh, big locking up there at the top end of the circuit for Van der Poel. As they come back down the hill onto the main straight. Little change in the order at the moment. Albacete still hanging on there. Look at this. Francia making a big bid now for the lead. And through he goes on the inside. He goes on the inside of Van der Poel. Takes that lead. And indeed, Genet's been pushed back by Albacete. Albacete there in the works-assisted BMW. Was a big problem, though, for 2 of the privateers, Viñes and Barrios, both spinning off at that first Repsol corner. Very daunting corner at the end of the longest straight here at Jarama. Giorgio Francia then, the man who has starred over the past years in the German Touring Car Championship, a man also who raced sports cars, Formula One, everything. And look at this, another move now on Van der Poel, and it's Albocetti going through. Jordi Genet playing a watching brief there. Oh, but he's gone a little bit wide as Albocetti in the BMW, yes, and Van der Poel goes back through on the inside in the Nissan, the Jan Speed prepared car, just nudging the BMW over slightly. Great race now between these three all around the circuit. Francia, of course, in the lead, gone ahead. Always a push again, Albocetti giving him a hefty shove from behind, and Genet just playing a watching brief to see what happens. Oh, pushing all the way around. They go through these corners, Le Mans, Nürburgring, all the corners named after famous racing circuits throughout Europe, on a track here which was designed by John Hugenholtz, the man who built both Suzuka and... Oh, there he goes round. He gets pushed by Genet. Albocetti rudely pushed out of the way. Genet still managing to hold on to that second place in front of Luis Villamil, but look at Albocetti. He is in trouble. He has slowed down. See it again in slow motion, a definite shove there. Now there is a repercussion later on. Albocetti lays into Genet after the race and is excluded from the results despite continuing, given a 30-second penalty for the second grid on the race. So Francia wins race one in front of Van der Poel, Villamil and Perez Sala. Nissan taking second and fourth places. On the grid, Albocetti's been pushed back. Based on the race, one results, Francia on pole in front of Van der Poel, Villamil and Perez Sala. Two cars stall on the grid there. This gives Albocetti a chance just to creep up around. He's already well up in the order, but it's Van der Poel who takes the lead going into the first corner. Oh, he goes very, very wide indeed. And Villamil and Francia go through. Villamil made a great start, so Francia for some reason slowed up there. It's Villamil leading from Francia, from Campos. Alfa Romeo 1, 2, 3, then Perez Sala, then the Alfa of Ignacio Goibaru, Van der Poel next, then Alex Caffey and Jordi Genet. Alex Caffey at the wheel of another Opel Vectra, Ford just not shining at all here. Carlos Paulo right down the order in the field, as is Jesus Pereira. Men we've seen running at the front, completely outshone at the moment by the Nissans, by the Alphas, by the Opels, and indeed by BMW as well. Look at this Alpha train, 1, 2, 3, 4 cars now leading, then Goibaru and Van der Poel having both passed Perez Sala, Luis Perez Sala in some sort of trouble, a lot of locking up all around the circuit. Albocetti just making up places all the time now, halfway through the race, and Albocetti takes 6 from Van der Poel, very close to Goibaru. Only takes, a big collision there with Caffey in the Opel and Goibaru, but Albocetti making the most of it in the BMW takes 5th place from Alex Caffey. And a lap later, it's now Albocetti and Caffey both fighting Goibaru. Albocetti looking to go through into 4th place, so 3 Alphas still leading here. There he goes, no problem, up under the Pegaso hill, under the bridge, and the BMW really flying now. It's a big problem, of course, now for Goibaru there. He's got smoke pouring off that front wheel, rubbing on the bodywork, but it's still the 3 leading Alphas of Villamil, Francia and Campos. Can Francia make it a double? Oh, he's trying all he can. There's no team orders even amongst the Alphas, pushing all around the circuit. Albocetti closing all the time. These 3 Alphas really holding themselves up. Oh, and it's the last lap now. Albocetti's right with the 3 Alfa Romeos. Can he do anything about taking it? Listen to the crowd going wild. Oh, and Francia, left, right again. Albocetti climbing all over the back of them. Up over the hill. Coming down for the final series of corners. Great late braking there. And Albocetti takes that 3rd place away from Campos. Just one more corner downhill onto the straight. Can he do it? No, and Villamil wins that race from Francia, Albocetti, Campos and Caffey. Great for the championship. Villamil leading with 57 points from Albocetti, 52, and Giorgio Francia on 45 points. So round 3 of the series on May 28th at Barcelona, the Catalunya circuit. Of course, Eurosport will be bringing that to you on Motors, as always.
We start our programme this week with Spanish touring car action from Catalunya. Well, the Spanish running the 2-litre Super Touring rules, as is the most of Europe now in touring car racing. Championship being led by Alfa Romeo at the moment. Alfa took the series last year, thanks to Adrian Campos. And this year it's Luis Villamil leading the series by just 5 points as they go into the third event of the year. But the man who's been doing well in qualifying, if not so much the racing, has been this man, Erik van der Poel, driving for the Nissan team, and he's taken his third pole in a row here in the third round, the third event of the championship. 2 races at each event in the Spanish touring car season, and it's Erik van der Poel on pole position, suitably enough. Former Grand Prix driver, did 5 Grand Prix in his fairly short Grand Prix career with some lowly teams. Well, the problem here is to try and take a good car and one that works well in qualifying and try and make it consistent over the course of a whole race. We've got a good setup, but previous races have showed us that other cars are sometimes better over a race distance. So I'm going to have to try and make a good start, build the lead, and then try and hang on to that lead. After practice, however, things not so good. In fact, Van der Poel and the 3 Alfa Romeos are all pushed further down the grid due to having illegal wings. So it means that the Opel team annex the front row of the grid with Alex Caffi and Jordi Yanné. About 40,000 people ready for the Spanish touring car race here in Catalonia. With those 2 Opels on the front row of the grid, it's looking good for the white and yellow cars. Let's get ready for the first race. Remember, 2 races, and away they go as the lights change to green. And which of the 2 Opels gets away first? Well, it looks as though it's the car of Alex Caffi who's managed to make the better start. Alex Caffi diving into that first corner ahead of his teammate Jordi Yanné, with Erik van der Poel there in 3rd position. So he wasn't pushed right to the back of the grid, Van der Poel, as you can see, still reasonably well up, but they were penalised for having those illegal wings. Oh, that's Jesus Pereira, former sports car racer, in trouble in his Ford Mondeo already. And meanwhile, the Alfa Romeos are already battling Luis Villamil there, moving past Giorgio Francia. And Francia racing in this year's Spanish series out of the German Touring Car Championship, which he raced for Alfa Romeo for several seasons, but now racing in Spain. But up front, it's the Opels, and it's still Alex Caffi, former Grand Prix driver himself. We've got another accident there. That's Carlos Palau involved in that. The other Mondeo is out, so Ford in big trouble already. But up front, it's the Opels, but are coming under pressure from Erik van der Poel in the Nissan. Van der Poel looking for that 2nd place from Jordi Yanné. Yanné, who raced in the British Formula 3 Championship a few years ago, moved on to Formula 3000, never quite cracked it into Grand Prix racing, but now a front runner in the Spanish touring cars and trying to fend off the Belgian Erik van der Poel at the moment. Up front, though, still Alex Caffi leading this race. The Opel team looking very strong here in Catalonia, but Erik van der Poel dives down the inside, takes that 2nd place away from Jordi Yanné, and so we now have the Opels split by the Nissan. Van der Poel now catching up to Alex Caffi, but has he got enough time? We're getting towards the end of this race. Caffi under pressure from Van der Poel. There is Jordi Yanné still in 3rd position. And Antonio Albacete, the man who's actually 2nd in the championship at the moment in the BMW, well, he's a little further down the order. Disappointing run at the moment for BMW. The winner of the first 2 rounds of the championship, Albacete at Jerez. But here in Catalonia, the BMW not going quite so well. On board with race leader Alex Caffi in the Opel. Everything going swimmingly well for him at the moment. Still being chased by Erik van der Poel and his teammate Jordi Yanné. Then it's Adrian Campos, and that's one of the Alfas off. And it looks as though it's Luis Villamil, well, rejoining, but obviously you can see that left front tyre completely destroyed, and Villamil heading back towards the pits. Well, there he is, in fact, having attention. Looks as though they're going to send him back out again. Former Spanish champion himself, Luis Villamil, but not having so much luck here at Catalonia. So it looks as though Alex Caffi is going to take the first win for Opel in 1995. Caffi wins it from Van der Poel and Yanné. Well, I had a good race, even if it wasn't a terribly good start. The car was consistent all race long, which is the most important thing really to get a race victory here. Consistency is much more important than speed, and we worked hard in practice. It paid off.
Essere costante durante tutta la carriera. Io credo che abbiamo fatto un buon lavoro qui durante l'entrenamento e estamos buenos.
So Caffey the winner, Van der Poel second, Jordi Janné third, Adrian Campos fourth, and Antonio Albacetti in the BMW. Well, he managed to get fifth place in the end and still add points in the championship. Let's get going with the second race then, and away this time. A good start from Eric Van der Poel, a much better start from the Nissan driver this time, and Van der Poel, I think he's going to have the lead as we head into the first corner with, it looks like, Alex Caffey in second place. No, in fact, it's his teammate Jordi Janné who's come up in second. There's a spinner already, one of the Alfa Romeos, and that is Giorgio Francia. And this another battle, in fact. We're on board Adrian Campos, and he's battling with Luis Villamil. Oh, there's contact. Villamil spins. Campos runs wide. Well, Campos has gone off onto the grass, but can he get back on without actually hitting the barrier? He's trying to bring it around gently, does it? Yes, it looks as though he's going to be able to get back onto the circuit. Last year's champion, former Minardi Grand Prix driver Adrian Campos rejoins the circuit, but he's a long way down, and in fact that has allowed fourth place to go to Jesus Diaz Villarruel. There he is in the BMW, and he's actually one of the privateers in the race, and he's in fourth position. Well, soon coming under attack from one of the other BMWs. In fact, that is Antonio Albacetti going through. So Albacetti finished fifth in the first race. What can he do in this second race? The winner of the first two rounds, but in fact running with quite a lot of ballast. They add ballast to the cars in the Spanish Touring Car Championship, so that's part of the reason for him not perhaps going quite so well here in Catalonia. Further down, the battle between Jon Viñes and the two Alfa Romeos, Adrian Campos and Luis Villamil, right behind. Oh, there's been contact there between Campos and Viñes by the looks of things. Campos still there, Villamil's smoking away on that right front tyre, and looks as though he's got some troubles there, that's for sure. There is Villamil. We can see the smoke pouring off the Alfa 155, but nonetheless he dives up the inside of Campos, takes that position away from Adrian Campos. The two who contacted each other earlier on, they're still at it. In fact, it looks like Campos is going to try and knock him off again if Villamil doesn't watch out. Back to the leader though, Eric Van der Poel, our race leader, and it looks as though the 34-year-old Belgian, who finished second in the Formula 3000 title in 1990, it looks like he's going to take the win here in Catalonia. First win for Nissan of the year as well, ahead this time of the two Opels of Janné and Caffey. So in the championship, Antonio Albacetti actually has the lead in the series now, with him finishing in fourth place. He's got 70 points, Eric Van der Poel second on 65 points, and Luis Villamil third on 61 points. More touring car action. We go from the French series to the Spanish series. Super Touring really expanding all around Europe, and well, this time the Spanish Touring Car Championship making its only visit outside its own shores and going to Estoril in Portugal. The fourth round of the series in the Spanish touring cars, and it's a good qualifying time from Eric Van der Poel in the Nissan. Well, he had a win and a second place last time out, but even with this spectacular two-wheeling action, his qualifying wasn't quite good enough to take pole. In fact, it was Giorgio Francia taking the first 1995 pole position for an Alfa Romeo 155 in the series. I think that Alfa, Nissan and Opel are all really very close. Sometimes it's us fastest, sometimes it's the others. Today it was my turn. I'm very happy, and we're going to see how the race goes tomorrow. Only one BMW in Estoril for the privateer driver, Jesus Diaz Villarruel. And that's because the official BMW driver, Antonio Albacetti, who currently leads the championship by 5 points, actually excluded for 2 races following incidents in Jarama. So Albacetti not competing in this race. Let's see what happens as we get the first race underway. From the start of the race then, we go on board with Adrian Campos, who makes a great start. It was an absolutely appalling start from the front row of Giorgio Francia from that pole position, so he got dropped behind, and up front it's Alex Caffey who takes the initial lead as they all head off around the first lap here at Estoril. Alex Caffey leading from Adrian Campos in second position, Luis Perez Sala in third, with Joan Viñez up into fourth place. Perez Sala looking down the inside of Campos into the right-hand hairpin, climbing back uphill towards the left-hander before they run behind the pit paddock area. But a good start there from Alex Caffey in the Opel. The 31-year-old Spaniard raced in the Italian Formula 3 series back in the mid-80s before going on to some Grand Prix racing with Osella and Dallara, and Alex Caffey now pulling out a bit of a lead, bit of an advantage from Adrian Campos. Well, further back, there's been an incident coming out of the last corner. That's one of the Fords involved, Carlos Palau, and in fact Jesus Pereira also involved. So both of the Fords in trouble there. Well, we're taking a look at the onboard pictures here from Joan Viñez, and up front you can see that in fact is a spinning Nissan. That's Luis Perez Sala, and remember he was well up in third position, so that's changed things around a little bit, and it's still Alex Caffey leading, Adrian Campos in second position now, with Marc Genet up into third position. From the onboard camera, that's Giorgio Francia going past Joan Viñez, and well, up front Alex Caffey having a fairly untroubled time. They're going through the new chicane there. Remember that chicane introduced last year for the Portuguese Grand Prix. As we go back on board once again, Adrian Campos still going well, but coming into the pits in fact has come Alex Caffey, and Adrian Campos as well has also got himself a penalty for a jump start. So into the pits there is Alex Caffey, having served his penalty. So Caffey coming back out once again, and obviously his start was deemed to be a little bit too rapid. Adrian Campos also has to come in. There he does come in indeed. So that leaves the lead of the race now to Jordi Genet. In the Opel, he's got Giorgio Francia right behind him. Luis Villamil in third place in another Alfa Romeo, and then Joan Viñez not far behind in another of the Nissans. So the Opel lead that was held by Alex Caffey always now being taken away by Giorgio Francia, going past Jordi Genet. Genet, who taken over from his teammate in the Opel camp, but now Giorgio Francia making up for that appalling start from pole position, goes into the lead. And in fact, Jordi Genet is coming under pressure from Luis Villamil now. So he's got to watch out from the second of the Alfa Romeos. In fact, Villamil goes past. So Alfas 1 and 2, Giorgio Francia, driver who was racing in the German Touring Car Championship, and now in the Spanish series. There's Eric van der Poel trying to make up some ground as well. Van der Poel trying to get past Jordi Genet and get into third place through that final corner. He's got just a little way to go towards the checkered flag. It looks as though Francia is going to take the win here. Francia coming through to win it from Villamil in second. Who's going to take third? Well, Genet just takes third from Eric van der Poel. Joan Viñez fifth, and Jesus Diaz in sixth place in the BMW. Well, Alex Caffey in a bit of trouble before the start of the race with electrical problems before this second start. So, well, that's disappointing for the man who was leading the first race. And once again, Francia makes an appalling start. And so it's Luis Villamil who makes the best start in his Alfa Romeo. Villamil leading, Van der Poel making an excellent start, the Belgian. In the Nissan, Van der Poel trying to go around the outside. Remember, he took a win in the previous round of the series. And we go on board with Villarreal in the BMW through the right hand. Oh, he's understeering, he's off straight into the barrier. Hefty impact for Villarreal. And let's take another look at that. Serious case of understeer. Turning the wheel, nothing much happening. The car went straight on and boffed straight into the barrier. The onboard camera is somewhat knocked from its position. So exciting stuff from the onboard camera. On board with Adrian Campos trying to work his way up the order a little bit, and well, a little bit of contact, but he manages to get past there, going past Carlos Palau and into fifth position. Up front, Luis Villamil still under pressure from Eric van der Poel. Jordi Genet battling with Giorgio Francia rather. Francia trying to take that to third place. So Villamil still race leader. He's very experienced driver Villamil, former Spanish touring car champion. Oh, locking up, that was Giorgio Francia. We go back on board with Campos. That's Francia disappearing. And there is Giorgio Francia, just locked up, going into the end corner at the end of the start-finish straight and straight off the track. So disappointment for him. Meanwhile, Luis Perez Sala is finding a way past Carlos Palau. Sala there in the Nissan, just getting past Carlos Palau. We're travelling on board with Palau, but back to the leaders. Still Jordi Genet in the white and yellow Opel, trying to put Eric van der Poel under pressure. But van der Poel, the experienced Belgian, looks as though he's going to be able to control this. Well, I say that, he's up on two wheels going through that new chicane. Just watch this again in slow motion. And Eric van der Poel, former Grand Prix driver for the Lamborghini Formula One team, the Brabham team, and a bit for Fond Metal as well. Well, really making exciting work of it through that chicane, but keeping it all together. And coming through to the finish in second place. Luis Villamil taking the win, though. Eric van der Poel taking second, and Jordi Genet in third, with Adrian Campos coming through well as well. So in the championship, it means that Luis Villamil now has a narrow lead with 96 points. Eric van der Poel second on 90, and Jordi Genet third on 76. Let's go touring car racing now. Let's go to Spain, the Albacete circuit. Some sunshine and some spectacular racing from the Spanish touring car contingent. This is the sixth round of the series, and going into this one, it's an Alfa Romeo that's leading the championship, the car of Luis Villamil. But taking pole position, and in fact his first pole, is Jordi Genet in the Opel Vectra, or Vauxhall Cavalier as we would know it in the UK. Luis Perez Sala setting the second fastest time in the Nissan, former champion in the Spanish Touring Car Championship. So there you can see Jordi Genet on the left-hand side of the picture, Luis Perez Sala on the right, and somebody's got stuck on the grid. We're on board with John Viñez in the BMW, and Viñez going through. There you can see Alex Caffey alongside us as we go into the first corner, but in fact a good start from Luis Perez Sala. It's Perez Sala who leads as they go through the first corner, and Antonio Albacete it was who made a very bad start and got left behind. There moving up also the second Nissan of Eric van der Poel. He's moved up into what looks like fourth place, with Luis Perez Sala, teammate, leading the race. Jordi Genet in second place, then Luis Villamil in third, with Eric van der Poel in fourth, with the Alfa Romeos holding station a little further back than that, and Antonio Albacete now trying to make up for that rather disappointing start. Now remember, Albacete did not start the last race in Estoril. He'd been banned from it due to bad driving earlier on in the season, and he was leading the championship before that, so he's really determined to try and make up for the disappointment there. Luis Perez Sala leading the race. We're back on board with John Viñez, and we're taking a look at somebody spinning, and that's Eric van der Poel in the Nissan. So the Belgian driver, former Grand Prix driver, out of the race, and look how buried that car is. It's going to take him a while to get that one out. So up front, Luis Perez Sala, and Jordi Genet definitely has closed up a little bit in second place, with his teammate Alex Caffey not far behind, and this little battle going on as well with John Viñez. And always there's a little bit of contact between Viñez and the driver behind him, another Spanish driver, in fact just going past there, the BMW of Villarreal, and he's another privateer, so not one of the works cars, but nonetheless going very quickly indeed. Back to the front, and Luis Perez Sala trying to open up a little bit of an advantage over the Opel. Nissan's definitely on much better form now as we go on board with Villarreal. He's just been passed by one of the Alfa Romeos. In fact, that's Luis Villamil going past, and Villamil, who was well up at the front, well, he dropped right back and is now under pressure. Well, this is Albacete trying to move up through the order, and he's attacking Adrian Campos there in car number 1, last year's champion. Look at that, just a little bit of contact, and Campos managed to hold it all together, applied the opposite lock. Albacete tried to go around the outside, And I think he's being a bit careful, because remember, he's been thrown out of the championship for one race already this year. He doesn't want to get himself into too much bother. He squeezes down the inside, and this time perhaps he's done it. Oh, he's squeezing him off though. Dear oh dear, watch it, Antonio, you're going to be in bother again, but Campos hits him now, and in fact it's Albacete who goes off onto the dirt. So perhaps some natural justice, and perhaps the stewards won't have to do anything about that. Campos giving him a bit of a hefty swipe in the door, but probably as much as anything as retaliation for what was already going on. Campos gets away with it, and meanwhile Luis Perez Sala still in front of Jordi Genet. Genet tracking Perez Sala all the way, but I don't think he's going to be able to find a way past here. Into the closing stages, checker flag ready, and Luis Perez Sala wins from Jordi Genet. Alex Caffey in the other Opel in third, and then Giorgio Francia, Adrian Campos and John Vignez. So the car's getting ready for race number 2 now. Always 2 races in the Spanish Touring Car Championship. Little break in between, and then on to the attack once again. Well, those Land Rovers are fairly busy after that first race, putting the cars back in, but here we go, we're ready to go. It's Luis Perez Sala on pole position once again, with Jordi Genet alongside him, but a good start there from Alex Caffey in the other of the Opels. And meanwhile, we go back on board with Ignacio Luis Villaruel, sorry. And he has moved up reasonably well. Look at all those Alfa Romeos all trying to squeeze through that first corner together. I think they've all managed it. But a whole gaggle of Alfa Romeos, or whatever the collective noun for Alfas is, all trying to move their way up the grid. And there is Van der Poel. No, it's Sala. In fact, Sala's dropped way back there. Look at that. He's got squeezed out by several Alfas all in one go. And the guy was on pole and who won the first race, and he's dropping back even further. He must have some sort of problem with the Nissan, I think. He's dropped right down the order, and he's in big trouble. Well, there, just being waved through, is Luis Villamil going past from Goiburu a little further back, and Villamil had to start at the back of the grid, so not surprising that he's finding a way past. And there's a change, as it looks as though Campos has moved into second. Indeed he has, Adrian Campos. That's second place from Alex Caffey, and Jordi Genet is leading. There's Carlos Palau, one of the Ford Mondeos running. Oh, he's run wide, in fact. Rips a bit of bodywork off by the looks of it, gets back onto the circuit. You can see they're running the hatchback Mondeo in Spain rather than the booted version that we have in the UK. Slight difference, same in Germany. In fact, they've got the hatchback version. But Jordi Genet is still leading, with Alex Caffey now back into second. He's got himself back in front of Campos. And in fact, Campos is having quite a bit battle with Luis Villamil. And Villamil's going well because he started right at the back, remember. So the Alfas are at it. And there is the battle still going on with Francia involved in it as well. So he's another of those Alfa Romeos. That's Giorgio Francia. Oh, and that's Alex Caffey. Look at him, he's gone dirt tracking there. So look at all the Alfas. There must be oil down or something there, because there's somebody else in the background, and he's straight across the gravel. Well, it seems to be a big problem if you've got an Alfa Romeo. Everyone else seemed to get through reasonably well, except for the initial Opel. There's Palau in, so end of his race. And perhaps it is oil. Never know. Could well be that it was oil from his car that actually caused everyone to go flying off there. On board with Joan Vignez. Now then, he's trying to squeeze away past Caffey, who, remember, dropped down in that gravelly moment just a few corners ago. Oh dear, and that's somebody else diving. That's Albacete once again. Dear oh dear, Antonio is getting into big trouble there. Oh, and he collected one of the Nissans as well. So more and more problems. And in fact, there's Sala. Yep, he's pulling off the circuit. Too much damage to the Nissan. There's bits of bodywork all over the place. Certainly plenty for the souvenir hunters after this one. And Van der Poel now trying to make up more ground as they carry on round. Oh, and there's, oh dear, heavy whack against the barrier there. And that's Goiburu. Let's take another look at that. Just gets punted off and then whack straight into the tyre wall. Tyres go flying all over the place. And Goiburu in one of the privateer Alfas. Bang! Ouch. And, well, driver okay. Well protected. Oh, and that's running very wide again. That looks like Van der Poel. Didn't quite go into the gravel like some of the others that we'd seen. And then back on board with Joan Vignez once again. He's in the battle with Luis Villarreal, BMW. Oh, and this is back. This is on board with Villarreal. So we're seeing this battle from both onboard cameras. Ouch! Trying to, yes, in fact, he's gone through. So Joan Viñez in another Nissan. It's a privateer Nissan, that one. But he's gone through, takes that place. That's the leader, by the way. We haven't seen him. Jordi Genet. He's got a huge lead over Giorgio Francia in the Alfa. Another Alfa, that's Adrian Campos. And another Alfa, Luis Villamil, championship leader coming into this event. So he's scoring points. But a good inter-team rivalry going on here. Francia and Campos moving out of the way of Luis Villamil. Now, I wonder if that's all down to team orders, or has Campos got a little problem there? Back on board with Jordan Viñez. Alex Caffey ahead. Oh, Caffey slowed right down there. I think, in fact, Caffey's got some sort of problem. Francia also moving out of the way. This is all team orders going on here. And Luis Villamil trying to take as many points as possible. And in fact, that has allowed him to come up into second place now. But Jordi Genet coming through to take his first win of 1995. Luis Villamil taking second thanks to Alfa team orders, with Giorgio Francia third, Adrian Campos fourth, and very close behind him, Eric van der Poel in the Nissan Primera. So very tight racing indeed, but Luis Villamil has a 3-point lead in the championship to Jordi Genet. It's a great battle between Alfa and Opel, with the Nissan of Eric van der Poel not far behind either.
Round 6 of the Spanish Touring Car Championship from Calafat, heats 11 and 12. Jordi Genet in the Opel leads the championship. Eric van der Poel and Luis Villamil in the Alfa are fighting for second place, but it was Luis Perez Sala who took pole with his Nissan Primera, also setting a new lap record. Perez Sala lying 6th in the championship. All the official Alfa Romeos were disqualified from practice because of new exhausts being too noisy. Amazingly, they were all made to start from the back of the grid. Didn't sound too noisy to me. Race 1, Sala on pole in front of Genet and van der Poel. And watch out for van der Poel, who moves straight from third place into first. The start, the inboard, Miguel Angel de Castro in the private Alfa. 6th place just behind Johan Viñez. Van der Poel in car 33 leads. Perez Sala 23 is second ahead of Genet. Albacete, Viñez, Campos takes 6th place from de Castro. Lap 2, and van der Poel and Perez Sala increasing their lead. This is the first time that van der Poel's been to this track at Calafat, even though Nissan for the last few years have done most of their testing there. Perez Sala knows it like the back of his hand, but van der Poel learning it for the first time this weekend. Inboard then with Viñez taking 4th place away from Albacete. Campos also attacking Albacete, but he can't get past. Campos, of course, drove for Minardi in Formula 1 in '87 and was is the reigning Spanish touring car champion. Lap 4, Francia and Villamil in cars 4 and 3, both past Angel de Castro, who drops down to 9th place. Francia still racing after many years as an Alfa test driver, 47 years old. Alex Caffey, ex-Arrows Formula 1 driver, in the pits, having a few problems sorted out, and goes out for a few testing laps just to get ready for race 2. Villamil takes 7th place away from Francia. Villamil, a former champion in Spain. Meanwhile, Albacete takes back 4th place from Viñez. Albacete won their first 2 races of the season at Jerez. Inboard with Goiburo, private driver. He was forced to retire. There he is, Goiburo, going straight on into the gravel trap, keeping it off the tyres. But Van der Poel holds on to take victory in front of Perez Sala, and Jordi Genet finishing third. The first 1995 1-2 for Nissan, and Van der Poel's second win of the year. Shared joy among the Nissan teammates. Very good day for Nissan. As I said, they do a lot of their testing on this track. The start of race 2. Look out for Van der Poel again in car 33. Taking the lead at the start in front of Albacete and Perez Sala. We go inboard with Viñas as he goes 5th behind Jordi Genet. Villamil going past. Villamil twice a winner this year. The top 5, Van der Poel, Albacete, Perez Sala, Genet, Villamil and Viñas. Perez Sala takes second place from Albacete. Perez Sala, of course, the 93 champion in Spain. At the end of lap 2, Perez Sala took the lead in front of Van der Poel. Meanwhile, Albacete takes second place from Van der Poel. Down the long straight he goes. The order then, Sala, Albacete, Van der Poel. Lap 4, Genet takes third place from Van der Poel. Inboard with Alex Caffey, started last on the grid after his problems in race 1, as he takes 8th place from De Castro. Villamil attacks Van der Poel for 4th place, but he just can't find a way through. Top 5 then, Perez Sala, Albacete, Genet, Van der Poel and Villamil. Alex Caffey forced to retire with a broken oil radiator. And we go inboard once again with the privateer Goiburo, as he goes out once again and retires. Perez Sala holding on to win race 2 in front of Albacete, with Genet 3rd, Van der Poel 4th and Villamil 5th. In the championship, Jordi Genet still leads with 135 points. Van der Poel and Villamil now tied on 128. The next round on the track at Albacete.
Well, welcome to Eurosport, welcome to the Spanish Touring Car Championship at Albacete in Spain, and we're looking at the first race of 2 today. This is the grid lining up here on this circuit, very close to Barcelona, 3.4 kilometers, a circuit which opened in 1990 and hosted World Superbikes in 1992. Well, no Fords and no Seats racing here. The lights are going from red to green. We're waiting for the start. On pole position, it's Jordi Genet with Adrian Campos alongside him. Jordi Genet gets the jump at the start of the race, straight off into the lead there. Powering down to the first corner, but look on the outside there, coming through from the back of the grid. Nissan's there in 2nd and 3rd at the moment. That is Eric Van der Poel, and Jordi Genet leading the championship in third, but only one race. Oh, he goes through, does it behind the pits. And that corner is a great move, just shot through on the inside. Remember, rear-wheel drive against all these front-wheel drive cars, locking up a little bit. Now he's setting off after Adrian Campos, the man who is still leading the second race, having won the first race. Goes very, very wide. Just the last few corners. Campos in the Alfa course, Alfa Romeo 155, just the two-wheel drive, remember, not the four-wheel drive. Takes the win, 2 out of 2 today. Antonio Albacete second, Jordi Genet third, then Caffi wins that battle for fourth place, coming up behind from Francia Villamil and Luis Perez Sala. Well, round 8 in Jerez, not much more interesting perhaps than round 7. Villamil led from Caffi. Albacete took third place away from Anthony Reid, who'd come in to help the other two Opel drivers. And it was Villamil who took his third victory in front of Caffi and Albacete, doing his championship chances no amount of good. Villamil looking better and better for that championship now. Closing up on championship leader Genet in race 2. Caffi takes the lead, but he gets another stop-go penalty for jumping the start. Albacete takes his third victory of the year in front of Villamil and Simoni. Genet only in 5th place, so the championship fight closing right up. Genet 180 points, Villamil close on 175. Eric van der Poel still third, 164. 7 wins to Alfa, 4 to Nissan. The championship suspense increases again during round 9. Back on the Catalunya circuit at Barcelona, poleman Eric van der Poel takes 2 victories, making it 4 in 95. And with just 1 round to go in the championship, the points, Genet 210, Van der Poel 204, and Villamil now the outsider on 197. But those 3 drivers in with a chance after 7 wins to Alfa and 6 to Nissan. Well, Jarama was the final round. Ivan Capelli has been brought in by Nissan to help his 2 teammates, Van der Poel and Luis Perez Sala. But Van der Poel doesn't even make the start after crashing in practice. He's excluded from the last round because his team helped him on the track. So his championship has gone. Start to race 1. Albacete takes the lead in front of Francia, Ivan Capelli, Perez Sala, Villamil, Caffi and Genet. Villamil and Genet, of course, fighting for the championship here at Jarama. Lap 3, Caffi hits Villamil and retired with broken suspension. So Villamil now looking like the only man still running with a championship chance. Then on lap 6, Genet also hit Villamil. He retires with broken suspension. So Albacete takes his 4th victory for BMW in front of Luis Perez Sala, Ivan Capelli and Luis Villamil. Well, the championship situation, Genet is now only 4 points in front of Villamil, and this, the final race of the season, about to start. At 40 years old, Luis Villamil, former Spanish champion in 1988 and 1989, looking to take it for a 3rd time. Villamil holds 4th place, that's all he has to do to get the title. Genet unable to pass Villamil's teammate Francia, and he finishes 8th. So Albacete, whilst taking his 5th victory of 1995, a new record for the Spanish championship, sees Villamil take the championship. Well, there's the final points, just by 1 point from Jordi Genet and poor Eric van der Poel, who didn't even start the race, finishing 3rd, 10 points behind. How it might have been different. Alfa won 7 races, Nissan 6 and BMW 5. Well, that was